Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's see here. Let me get myself together. All right. Get my candle going. All right. Wait for a few more people to jump in the room. And today we are talking about making your money work through budgeting. All right, let's see here. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Just giving time for a few more people to jump in the room as we talk about our subject today of making your money work through budgeting. Exciting subject to talk about. There we go. All right, all right, all right. Let's see. Today is a beautiful day. Beautiful day. So, good morning to everyone. Happy to have each and every person who does jump in on this live today. Of course, one of my favorite subjects to talk about and discuss is financial literacy. So, I look forward to discussing financial literacy again this morning. And so, when we talk about financial literacy today, it's more so piggyback. We're going to piggyback off of what we dealt with last month, not last month, last Saturday when I went live, and we were talking about budgeting, high yield interest savings accounts. So we're going to piggyback off of that and talk about the same similar subject matter, which is allowing your money to work for you. And so we started on a smaller scale last Saturday when we talked about, you know, at least having your money that's sitting in your checking account or in a low interest yielding savings account, putting it in a higher yield interest savings account so that you can get more bang for your buck, so that you can get your money working a little bit harder for you as opposed to what it is now. Thank you very much. All right. Got my ice water. I am good to go. Thank you. Okay. I'm ready to run a marathon with y'all today. I got everything that I need in place. So, like I mentioned before, having your money work for you, but on a larger scale. And we talked about it on a low level because when you talk about financial literacy, there's different levels to this. And so, as you continue to climb up that ladder of financial literacy and you learn more, you begin to adjust your financial habits. You become more fiscally responsible as you learn more. That's why it's important to educate yourself when it comes to financial literacy, but not only educate yourself, but don't stop the education. Continue to build on it. Continue to build on it. And as you build on it, uh, you will grow and you'll make much better decisions that affect you and your lifestyle when it comes to financial literacy. And like I mentioned before, last week is like a micro example of how to have your money work for you, and got some good feedback from people. There were some people who had their money sitting in low interest savings accounts, and they transitioned them to high yield interest savings account. They transitioned their money to a better place so that it would work for them. And just imagine, if you had $10,000 sitting somewhere and it was only making you $10 a month, and you moved it and now it's making you $50 a month. That's a big difference, because now with that $50, depending on what type of car you drive, I mean, there's a whole week's worth of gas saved, because technically, if you wanted to, that extra $50 a month that you made from moving your money into a wiser place, your money worked for you. And now you have uh, a week worth of gas that you no longer would have to take out of your normal budget of your normal cash flow. You could use that $50 to fill up your gas uh, tank for that week, and now that's less that you have to use. And that's just one example. You may have a water bill that's $50 a month. And now, because you moved your money into a high yield interest savings account, now that water bill is taken care of every month. So it no longer comes out of your 9 to 5 money, or wherever you normally get your cash, your paycheck from. It no longer comes out of that, because your money was working for you in that high yield interest savings account. Now you can pay bills and monthly expenses uh, off of what your money did, not what you necessarily did physically in that 9 to 5. So that's what we're talking about when we say make your money work for you, because we already know we can get out there and work, but we're limited. Wherever we are in that moment, whether it's a 9 to 5, whether you're at home, whether you're at somebody else's work site, you're limited to that one location when you're working. But when you begin to deploy and employ your money in different spots and different locations, now your money can work without you having to physically be present. And that's what you want. You want your money to work for you, whether it's at a lower level or a higher level, to where it benefits you and it's bringing in cash flow for you without you physically having to be there. So that same example of someone with a high yield interest savings account, same example, if that person is making, $50 a month off of that $10,000 they have sitting in the savings account, at the end of the year, that should be about $600. So now what do you do with that $600? Well, you can use it to buy Christmas gifts. You can use it to go on a family vacation, or you could use that extra $600 annually to now take that money and put it on your mortgage payment. Let's say you want it to work on paying down your mortgage faster, or let's say it's a credit card bill, or let's say it's a car note. You've just given yourself extra cash to put towards that debt, to get out of debt, to get rid of that debt at a faster rate, not because you went and worked extra hours, but you made your money work extra hours for your benefit. And that's just on a smaller scale of using a high yield interest savings account. There are many other ways to allow your money to work for you. And we'll go over a few of those as well. So I definitely want to welcome you, whether you are on YouTube or whether you are on Facebook, when we talk about financial literacy. I call this, my YouTube channel is Coach Steele's Finance Training. So you're more than welcome to always jump in on YouTube. Of course, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I like feedback as we talk about different subjects today. Feel free to comment in there, give your feedback. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer, although I do not have the answers to everything. So just remember, these are my opinions and my experiences. Always go back and double check and do your own research to confirm what works best for you financially. So, financial literacy is important. That's one thing that we have to settle. It can't be, it's not debatable. Financial literacy is important for a number of reasons. Financial literacy in every single community, in every aspect, in every culture, financial literacy is vital. So you need to know what to do with your money. You have to know what to do with your chickens. You have to know what to do with your cheese. If you don't know what to do with your money, then you'll find yourself running in circles. You'll be up one month, down the next month, up one month, down the next month. But if you know how to invest your money properly, it's a way to what Robert Kiyosaki says is get out of the rat race. And eventually, we want to be able to transition to things that we like, transition to things that benefit us, transition to things that makes life enjoyable. So when you learn how to move your money properly and what I call strategically, then you can put yourself in position to sit back and allow your money to work for you, allow businesses to work for you, allow products to work for you so that you are living much more comfortable and there's less stress on you. So keep that in mind that financial literacy is important to you, your family, your culture, your environment, your neighborhood, your community, your circle of people, because it's going to elevate your lifestyle. And so when you understand how important financial literacy is, then other things become very, very important. I'll give an example. Like having the right level of financial literacy also allows you to protect your assets better. Understanding what to do with your money will make you recognize your assets and it will cause you to protect your assets. And I haven't always been perfect in how I do things and how I maneuver things. To give a quick example, now keep in mind I was young, I was in my early 20s, and this was ignorance. So if I didn't have to pay car insurance and there was a way out of paying car insurance, I would not pay car insurance. Now, if you're from the South, good morning, Pastor Takara. If you're from the South, you call that riding dirty. So I'm just being very transparent. I was always trying to find a way to save money if it was possible. So if I could drive my car around without having to pay some insurance company, whether it was Geico or whoever, then I wasn't going to pay car insurance. I would just ride however I need to ride from point A to point B. In my mind, paying insurance was a hustle. I thought paying insurance to someone was a scam. Like, why do I have to pay them money to drive my car? That's how limited my thinking was at that point in time. And that's why financial literacy is important, because without the right mindset, you will do things that are not wise. You'll do things that are ignorant because you don't have the right knowledge and information that you need. And so keep that in mind. So I'm young and I'm riding around with no insurance. If I don't have to get insurance, I'm not paying. I'm just going to drive the car. Not realizing also, if you get stopped by the police, it could cost me more than what it was worth. And sometimes young people, we will do things financially that will cost us more than what it's actually worth. And in the long run, it's not worth it because whoever is going to get the money back from you and out of you regardless. So it's just wiser to do the right thing financially. And like I mentioned before, now as I got older and I was in the military at one point in time, when 9/11 happened at the gate, if you live by a military post, at the gate they check for everything. When 9/11 happened and the Twin Towers were attacked, the terrorist attack, whenever you wanted to go on post or go to work, they were checking for ID, everything. And so you had to have all your stuff, all your ducks in a row. You had to have everything in order to be able to get on and off of posts without having any problems. So, needless to say, when it comes to riding around without insurance, I made sure that I had everything back on track. But that's just an example of car insurance. But that was my mentality when it came to life insurance as well. And so keep in mind, when you become more financially literate, you make wiser decisions and you learn to protect your assets. And you understand that spending the money now is more valuable and more important than trying to hold on to a few pennies and it costs you more later on in the long run. And that's with life insurance, whether it's house insurance, whether it's car insurance. You want to have all of that stuff in place, and it's not as expensive as you think. And so today we're going to talk about making your money work for you. And so we'll get to that. And part of making your money work for you is buying those things, paying for those things monthly or annually that are important to protect your assets, to protect those things that are valuable. Instead of saying assets, I'll say the things that are valuable. Because if I use the term asset, someone will say, well, how is your house an asset? Or how is the car an asset? It's a liability. But some people may use their vehicle for tour. Some people may use their vehicle for work. Some people may use their vehicle for whatever. What I forgot what the terms are called. When you not a taxi, but when they ride around and take people food, or they ride people around and take them from one place to the next. The term is dropped out of my head, but some people's vehicles are an asset because they use it to make money, and some people their house is an asset because thank you, ride share, or other terms that are out there as well. And some people, thank you, Lord, Uber. I was struggling. I don't know why I couldn't think of it, but yeah, Uber Eats, all that good stuff. But so some people's vehicles are assets. They do bring in cash flow. And so I understand someone being technical about, trying to figure out why I call certain things assets. Once again, when you understand financial literacy and everyone's situation is different, then for some people, certain things are assets, and for some people, certain things are liability. So don't limit it to just what you know. And some people, the house is an asset because they either rent out their house, they may Airbnb a room in a house, even though they live there, or they may do production or other things in their house. They may rent out a room for storage in their house, and that brings in cash flow. Therefore, their property is an asset. And some people say, well, how else can a house be an asset? Because you have to pay bills or expenses. Everyone does not have a bill. Everyone doesn't have a mortgage payment. Some people, the house has been inherited and it was paid off completely. And yes, they may pay property tax, or they may pay insurance, but if they Airbnb it, or if they use it for production or tax write-offs, it may end up being cash flowing for a number of reasons. So don't limit it to just what you know. Like, for example, the house that I live in right now, it is paid off in full. So therefore, I don't have a monthly mortgage payment. So my house is not a liability as people would think. And of course, I don't pay property taxes either. So therefore, my expenses on my house are not the normal expenses that someone else would have. So we have to find creative ways to make our money work for us and creative ways to make our assets work for us. But most importantly, when you recognize these things, you have to protect them. So all I'm saying is protect these assets and protect the things that are valuable along the way as you get understand financial literacy. And why is financial literacy important as well? Another reason, because it makes you take things more serious that you normally would not have taken serious before. And I'll give another example. The average person, when you're young, you may not care as much about politics and what's going on in your local politics and what's going on in the politics on a larger scale as far as the government. But when you start diving into entrepreneurship and you start diving into different asset classes, you start focusing more on politics and why and who you would vote for. simply because the people who are in position making laws and rules are basically making laws and rules concerning those different asset classes where you make your money. Think about it. They're making, and I'll use real estate as a great example. The laws and rules on real estate are constantly changing all the time. And so, because the laws and rules are constantly changing on real estate, people are very strategic about who they vote for, depending on their views when it comes to real estate and how people can make money, whether it's on a local level or whether it's on a global level. What's up, Cheryl? Happy to see you. And so, grew up with Cheryl when I was a little kid. I was very, very young, and I was in the struggle. So now I'm happy to be talking about financial literacy and helping other people out. And Cheryl's real good friends with my sister as well. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as you tune in and talking about why financial literacy is important on a political level, because the people we vote and put in office and position are going to affect your bottom line. And also another reason, let's say someone's not as interested in real estate, you might be interested in investing. And so when you're investing in the stock market and you're talking about financial literacy, politics plays a big role in what you're going to invest in the marketplace. How does it play a role? For example, and you have to understand, people are becoming wealthy or increasing their net worth by who they realize is getting put into office. So some people say, I don't care about politics and I don't want to vote. Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not simply talking about who you vote for and who you choose not to vote for. What I'm saying is, regardless, you need to pay attention to what's going on in the politics world, because whoever is put in position may dictate what stocks are going to go up and what stocks may go down. And I'll give a good example. When it got closer to the last election, presidential election, and people thought that President Biden was going to win, all of those go green type of stocks, and another word slipping my head, but those green stocks, uh, environmental friendly type stocks, they began to increase in value. Their shares began to go up because people were anticipating that the president, the future president, which became Biden, would be pushing that green initiative, which would then affect those stocks. And so a lot of people position their money in advance, preparing for him coming into position and those stocks doing better. And so whether it's the vehicles, y'all have to bear with my brain this morning, Tesla, renewable energy. Yeah. So when you're talking about Tesla and different things like that, and people making laws and rules in certain states saying by 2035 or whatever those rules were, there everyone needs to transition from this type of vehicle to this type of vehicle. And when you start seeing things like that, politics, you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention. Electric vehicles. Thank you. So when you start seeing things like that happen, it doesn't mean you have to go buy an electric vehicle. It doesn't mean you have to go buy certain green items. It means that if you have money that's available to work for you, because that's what I'm talking about today, making money work for you. If you have those funds, you can shift that money into placements and places that benefit you to where the money will grow. It doesn't have to stay there forever. And once your money grows and you get it to where you need to be, then you can move it to wherever you need to next. But take advantage. And when we talk about financial literacy, pay attention to the politics that is going on, because the politics help dictate where the money is going to grow, and most importantly, where the money is going to flow. So now, as we get closer to the end of this year, what do we have coming up? Another presidential election. And so with another presidential election, there's no telling. So you have to pay attention to what's going on, because usually during the presidential election, they try to get people's attention by dangling money in front of us. They try to get our attention by saying, hey, if I, and this was just sitting on my desk, so it's convenient here, if I dangle this money in front of a certain group, these different political groups, if we dangle the money in front of our constituents, how can we influence their behavior? How can we influence their actions? And so the reason why I like talking about making money through budgeting and allowing your money to work for you is because I don't like people trying to dangle things in front of me to get me to behave or act a certain way. We need to position ourselves to go from dependent to independent, to where you have your own economy through your own budget that allows you to function how you need to and how you choose to. And so just keep in mind, politics plays, I won't stay on politics forever, but I want you to keep in mind that paying attention to politics can also help you learn how to make money faster, because the people who are making decisions are going to make decisions on those different asset classes and on taxes, laws, rules that are going to bring in cash flow into your pocket. And think about this as well. The interest rates right now, if you want to buy a home, these interest rates are high right now. They're not an all-time high, but they're high right now. Whether they're 7%, whether they're 8%, these interest rates are pretty high. For most people who are just trying to buy a home, maybe around 7%. For real estate investors, that interest rate may be 8%. That all affects every person, whether you own a home, whether you're getting ready to buy a home, or whether you're renting. How does it affect you? And you must understand this financial literacy, which is what we're talking about today in the grand scheme of things, is with these interest rates and election coming up, I would not be surprised if at the end of this year, they reduce the interest rates just a little bit to show some relief, to show that there's some progress being made so that someone can get a pat on the back. And it's another way of dangling the dollar. We're making progress, and because we're making progress, you need to stick with us or you need to vote for us, because we will bring about change. And so the dollar, financial literacy, is going to play a role into the political elections and what's going on in the marketplace, and where money will go and where money will flow. So keep that in mind, and it's an easy way to increase your cash flow. So when we go from politics, we understand, like I said, budgeting. A lot of people want to invest. A lot of people want to put money to the side. They want to find out where to put their money. But you have to remember, it is going to be very, very difficult to be consistent with budgeting. It's going to be difficult to be consistent with investing if you do not know your budget. If you do not know what you have coming in and going out every single month consistently, it's hard to be consistent with budgeting, which means it's going to be very difficult to invest. When you start investing, you want to be consistent. I don't care if it's $10 a month. I don't care if it's $10 a week. Whatever it is, you want it to be consistent, and you want it to be disciplined. But it's hard to be disciplined if you don't know your budget, if you don't know your finances, if you don't know your cash flow. So when it comes to budgeting, I say take 2 months on average to figure out what you have coming in and what you have going out. And then you know what you have left over, and that's your cash flow. That's your CF. And if you know what your CF is, your cash flow at the end of the month, after everything is paid, then you know how much extra money you have to invest in different asset classes. Or you know how much money you have left over to pay down on debt that you have. So when you talk about wanting to invest and make your money work for you, one of the first things you need to do is make sure that you get rid of unnecessary debt. Unnecessary debt will slow you down from being able to invest the way you want to invest in asset classes, in different things that could bring in more money, whether it's real estate, whether it's gold, whether it's the stock market, whether it's dividend stocks. Getting rid of unnecessary debt will help you be able to invest on a larger scale, and it gives you comfortability as well. So some people, let's say, and I always use real estate as an example, some people who are intimidated or worried about investing in real estate, if you buy a property and you're going to put a tenant in there, you're going to Airbnb the property, whatever you're going to do with it, some people would be intimidated because they say, well, what happens if I don't have a tenant in there? Or what happens if um, the tenant moves out? What happens if I have to get repairs? Well, if you budget properly, you know at the end of every month whether you have an extra $500 a month, whether you have an extra $1,000 a month from your budget. You know, if anything happens to that investment property, you have the extra funds left over to maintain it, even when no one's in there. Now, that's not necessarily the only way you want to be able to maintain that property. When you do have tenants in the property, you want to be able to save up money. You want to be able to stack that cash flow that's coming from the property, the profits. So, in case emergencies do happen, you just tap into that to cover down until the next tenant comes or the next person who Airbnbs the property. So all of that happens simply through budgeting. But your personal budget gives you a cushion so that while your business or your entrepreneurship ventures are trying to get off the ground, they will cover down. And so all of those things are important. Let's say that you make products. Let's say you make food for people and you buy a bunch of ingredients, you buy a bunch of items, and you're trying to sell these items after you make your product, after you make your food, whatever it is. And so you have to budget for those things. You need to know how much of whatever you're buying and how much it takes. See, budgeting, whether it's personal or whether it's in business, all of it is important because you want to make your money work for you. You want to be able to make your money work for you and benefit you even when you're not present. And so I think that's one of the best ways to make money is to be able to have cash flow coming in without you having to bust a sweat, without you having to do anything. It's just going to come regardless whether you're awake or whether you're asleep. But all of that comes through budgeting. And if you are making these products, you need to know what your budget is for these products, and you need to know what your how much you're selling and how many people you have that you're selling to. And for some people, they may decide to collect funds up front, which helps cover down on that budgeting process. Or if you're collecting funds once people actually buy product, all of that plays a role in how you budget for those things. But just keep in mind, I would look at your past 2 months worth of expenses, your past 2 months worth of income to be able to estimate what your monthly income and expenses look like. That way you can see what your cash flow looks like at the end of the month. And so I just want to emphasize how important budgeting is for your current situation and for your future situation. And let's talk about why it is important. Because from budgeting, like I said, you're going to find out what your cash flow is. From your cash flow, you're going to get to find out how quick you can eliminate debt and how quickly you can then start building wealth, investing in asset classes, investing in businesses, creating your financial empire of success. Budgeting helps you in the present and in the future. So many people are not prepared for retirement because they did not take an opportunity or did not have the opportunity to invest money into their future. And so it's important to budget. It's vital to budget because when you budget, it will allow you to start taking money. It opens up the opportunity for you to start taking money and invest in your future self. It allows you to start taking money and putting it in places that are going to pay you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now to create recurring income for not just you, but future generations. How many people would love to make money, not just for themselves, but for future generations? How many people that are tuning in would love to make money, not just for themselves, but for future generations? You want to bring in cash flow for future grandchildren, great grandchildren, provide scholarship opportunities. There are so many things that you can put in place, but we have to start now. We have to start somewhere. Cheryl says, me. And so, and you know, it's funny when I think about Cheryl, I don't know why, but in my memory, Cheryl, when I think about you, do you remember on like Wednesday nights, youth Bible study, we used to go to the gym? I forgot what street that was, but we could play basketball after we did Bible study, and we'd be out there hooping. Me, you, Jonathan Hendricks, the Johnsons. I think one of them name was Larry, and I can't remember the rest of them. But every time I think about you, I think about basketball after Wednesday night Bible study. I don't know why, but that's my memory that always pops in my head. And so Nitra put Howard Foss Drive, but that's in Savannah. So when we talk about budgeting and financial literacy, um, we want to have that freedom, guys. We want to be able to have that freedom to take care of our future selves and not just us, but future generations. How nice would it have been if you already had your scholarship money for you to go off to college available because someone years in advance had already thought about you before you existed and wanted to provide an opportunity for you that they may or may not have had themselves. So then you can go study the field that you want to study and have success at it without the stress of worrying about the financial part of it. Uh, when you are at a university or college and you're trying to worry about how to handle the finances and go to school, anybody who's been to college or a university and you're sitting in class and you're hoping that you have enough money to pay for the books in that class, you have enough money to pay for the projects, you have enough money to buy whatever items you need, that's enough stress in itself. And you're still trying to muster up enough uh, mental fortitude to go study for all of these classes, but at the same time, worry if you're going to be called out of the class because you couldn't pay for that semester or you couldn't pay for those books, or if you're going to pass or fail, not because you don't have the mental intelligence, but you don't have the finances to keep up with what's going on. And so to be a blessing to someone else and to provide that opportunity because you have set up generational wealth is a blessing. And it's something that leaves a legacy for that continues on and on. Because usually when you set someone else up for success, when you set someone else up for success financially, whether it gives them comfort to go to school or start their own business, whatever it is, because college isn't for everyone. Whatever it is that you set someone else up for, 9 times out of 10, they're going to carry the torch and they're going to learn from what was given to them and they're going to set someone else up for success. So you plant a seed that eventually grows into a tree, and that tree branches off and helps so many people. Cheryl said, I want to teach my kids about generational wealth. And I remember uh, I think I can't remember straight, but I think Cheryl, one of your kids went in the military. One of your son went in the military. I can't remember what branch, but one thing I think about when I think about military people, any of my military people that are listening, I think it's important that military posts or wherever you are stationed at, that military teach soldiers about real estate because soldiers are constantly being moved from one duty station to the next, and they're either staying in someone else's home or they're staying on post, and we're giving that money back to someone to live wherever we're living. And I think soldiers could build up a great real estate portfolio simply by buying a home every time they get stationed somewhere, and when they leave, just rent the house out, get great property management, put them in place because you still have to soldier and live your life and take care of your family. And so, most importantly, get great property management. So when you leave that place, that the house is taken care of and you have an asset that is growing in value, but it's also bringing in cash flow. So that way, when a soldier leaves the military, they may have two, three, or four properties that are bringing in cash flow, and they can comfortably exit the military knowing they have some extra funds that are coming in. But anyway, that's just a side note there. So financial literacy. She said he's out now and a contractor, and he's talking about buying an Airbnb. Nice, nice, nice. And that's another example. Contractors that are constantly being moved from one place to another. And let's say it's in Guatemala. In certain countries, buying real estate is much cheaper than in America. So you can build your real estate portfolio buying land and multifamily unit properties and things like that in other countries much cheaper. And in America, when you buy real estate, normally you have to, like, let's say you rent out a property. Some people will, you pay them rent every month. Every month you pay, a tenant will pay you. In some countries, the tenant has to pay you rent for the year. Yes. So you get all your money up front on day one, because the tenants have to give you the rent money for the year, not month to month. So just keep that in mind, that there's different ways that real estate is done throughout the world. And in America, most landlords, most homeowners, we get the money every month. But in other places, you can get your money up front for the year. And that allows an entrepreneur or someone who has a real estate portfolio, if the tenant gives you the money for the year, now you can take that money and flip it and put it into other investments. And now you don't have to worry about a tenant, but you can make your money grow even faster because you got it all up front. So you pretty much know your profits and your losses. And Cheryl said in Africa, and that is correct. And that's exactly what I was talking about. There's some countries in Africa where people have to pay the money up front. And so for the whole year, which allows a entrepreneur to really flip your cash flow, because you already made the investment into the property, into the real estate, and you're already making a profit, whether you made decided to make 10% or 12% on that real estate investment. So you already made your 12% profit off of a return on investment from that. But then now you can then take the money immediately and reinvest it in something else. And so that's another creative way to make your money work for you multiple ways. You're taking the same dollar and you're flipping it over and over and over. And so when we talk about budgeting, that's why it's important, because you want to budget. You want to figure out what you have left over at the end of the month, eliminate debt so that you can invest more in your future self and improve your quality of living. So when you budget properly, you can improve your current quality of living. Budgeting properly, when you eliminate debt, it allows you to take care of things in a house. So there were times where there are things in my house that may not have been working where they needed to be, the way they needed to be working, and I needed to get it fixed. But then I would put it off because I didn't have enough money to fix it. But what I didn't realize is I had enough money to fix it, but I was not budgeting properly. I was not monitoring everything. And one of the best things you can do to fix your budget, one of the best things you can do to fix your budget is to go write down all your service providers. So if you are listening in, like, write some examples of service providers, who service providers are. Write down a list of all your service providers. What's an example of a service provider? You bringing me food? I'm not gonna eat food in front of these people. But thank you. No, I'll eat it later. That's my wife. She's trying to bring me food. I guess you figure I was gonna camp out in my office for a long time. Okay, utility. Utility is an example of a service provider. Electric companies, water companies. When it comes to utilities and budgeting, one that is a service provider. You want to write them down in that list for a number of reasons. One, you want to find out on average how much you spend on utilities, and then make it competitive. When you're in your house and different people in your house, find out if you can at least maintain or improve your utility expenses, how much you spent on the electric bill. You know, when you're growing up and your parents say, cut them lights off. And you didn't always fully understand because you were not the one paying the electric bill. But now that you're grown and you're adulting and you're the one paying the electric bill, now you're saying, cut those lights off, cut that water off. Hey, if you leave out that room, cut the fan off. So you're being more strategic about what people leave on in your house and what you leave on in the house. If you live upstairs, if you have upstairs and downstairs, or if you go from one room from one side of the house to the other, sometimes before you leave out that room, and you see that light is on and you remember the light is on, you'll run back, cut that light off just because you know it's coming out of your paycheck. You work too hard to leave those lights on and just give whatever service provider that extra $5 and $10 a month that's not needed. So you cut those lights off. But also, I know some people are able to, and I've never tried it before. Some people are able to improve their utility, their electric bill by whatever their average is. I don't know exactly what it is, but they're able to set it up to where it's the same amount every month consistently based off of what their average is for the year. But the reason why I bring up service providers, and I don't care if it's your cable company, whether it's Xfinity, whether it's your cell phone company, those are service providers. The reason why I bring up service providers and the importance of service providers when you're doing your budget, you write down all of them, every single service provider you have, because you call each one. And I do this at least 4 times a year. You call each service provider and you figure out what you can do to reduce that bill or improve that situation with that bill. Usually I'm calling to reduce the bill. So when I call my service providers, let's say it's a cell phone company, and my cell phone bill, if it's $200 a month, I want to figure out how we can get it down to 175. I want to figure out how I can get it down to 150. What do I need to do? And I only usually agree to whatever they have if it benefits me. If I have to go buy something else, if I have to go spend more money, then usually I'm not doing the deal unless the deal is putting more money back in my pocket when I call the service providers. So when you call the cell phone company, call them and find out, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about changing cell phone companies. I got to find something cheaper. I'm getting ready to go with Cricket because it might only be $25 a month. What can we do? Is there any special? Is there something going on to reduce this cell phone bill? And so that's one thing you can do with your cell phone company. As far as cable, I gave up on cable years ago. I cable is so expensive. And then they have these packages, and I won't get into detail, but now you need Wi-Fi, and some people have a home phone, and they set it up and package it so much that if you take one thing out, it's almost close to the same price as if you had all of it combined. And that's their way to get you to hold on and to continue to um, just bundle everything in and buy everything from them. But I gave up cable long time ago and haven't looked back because cable is just too expensive. Plus, I don't watch all those shows. And most importantly, you can find other apps out there that will provide the same channels to you, if not more, than the car at a less expensive price than what cable is going to charge you. So uh, most importantly, if you're trying to budget, if you're trying to get rid of debt, don't keep cable. Decide what's more important to you: 100 channels or feeding your family, 100 channels or putting away for your future. It doesn't take much to get started with the process of putting away for your future. One of the easiest things you can do to start the process of building a retirement, if your company does not have a retirement, is starting a Roth IRA. Start an individual retirement account. Start a Roth IRA, and where you can start putting money every month inside that Roth IRA. A Roth IRA, you might be able to start off putting $20 a month, $50 a month, $25 a month, $100 a month, but start off somewhere. And when you're putting that money in that retirement account, you're putting the money in there, but with a Roth IRA, the money that's put in there later on, years from now, when you turn 59 and a half or 65, whenever you start drawing distributions, when you start getting money from that retirement account that's built up for however many number of years, when you pull the money out, it's not taxable. And so that's another benefit of a Roth IRA. There's other benefits of a Roth IRA that when you go look it up, you'll like it for a number of reasons. Cheryl said she was wondering the difference between a Roth and a traditional. Well, a traditional IRA is going to take money basically from your paycheck, and it's going to be invested in your individual retirement account. So that money is invested and no taxes are taken out of that money from your paycheck to that traditional IRA. That money is moved there and it has never been taxed. Hasn't been taxed, and it grows in your retirement account that is usually connected to either something basic like a money market account or the stock market, depending on what fund it's connected to. Basically, it's connected to the market, and that money just grows and grows and grows and grows. But once you start receiving distributions after you contribute and you start getting distributions, when you start receiving those distributions annually, then at that age, whether it's 59 and a half or 65 or whatever age you start drawing from it, then it will be taxable. So let's say, you saved up so much to where you get $2,000 a month from it. Well, that $2,000 is going to be taxed, Cheryl, because it was in a traditional Roth. The money was never taxed before it went into the investment. So when it comes out, it has to be taxed. So that's a traditional. Now, and keep in mind, everything that I say, do your own research to make sure that everything is verified. Now, with the Roth, here's the interesting part about a Roth IRA, Cheryl. And this is why I like the Roth. Usually, the money has already been taxed. And then you're taking the money and you're investing it into that retirement account. With the traditional, the money is not taxed and it's put in there and it's taxed later. With the Roth, the money has already been taxed and then it's being transferred. That contribution is being put in the Roth. So therefore, when you withdraw at retirement, the money is not taxed. So I like the idea of my money not being taxed later. Some people like the idea of the Roth for a number of reasons. And I'll say it like this. If you can contribute money into a Roth IRA now, and if the money can grow, not non-taxable, the money is going to grow and you start receiving distributions later and the money isn't taxed, then what's to stop someone who cuts grass for a living and they receive cash? They receive cash every time they cut some grass, and they take that money from the profits from the grass they cut during the summer and throwing it into a Roth IRA. Do the math. Now it's growing non-taxable, and then you take it out as non-taxable. So put two and two together. And then there's some other benefits to the Roth IRA with the traditional. Once again, check with someone in the banking industry. With a traditional IRA, if you were to pull those funds out, there's going to be a penalty that comes along with it. With the Roth IRA, most of the individual contributions that you personally made, I'm not talking about if I contributed $5,000 in my Roth IRA and then it began to make a profit because it's connected to the stock market, and now the value of my Roth is $10,000. Well, the benefit of a Roth is the base amount that you contributed. There are certain times where you can pull those funds out. Not that you would want to pull money from your retirement account. And there's certain times where there's no penalties attached to pulling those funds out. But go and do your own research and find out what the rules are and the parameters of all of that. Because sometimes there are benefits and reasons why it makes sense to pull certain funds from the Roth that you put in there and reinvest it into better business opportunities. So the Roth IRA has a lot of beautiful flexibilities that I like. But I think it's important that if you don't have any type of retirement put in place, that you set up a Roth IRA for yourself. Another benefit of having that Roth IRA that you set up, if you're a contractor, or let's say you know that you're only planning on staying at certain jobs for a short period of time, your personal retirement account that you set up travels with you. So no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, you're always taking your retirement account with you and you're always investing in it. So you're not limited to that 401k that the company provides for you. But if you leave that company, then they're just going to give you whatever was, you can roll your 401k to the next company if they have one, or you kind of limited on what you can do there if the next company doesn't have one. But with your Roth, you just take it with you wherever you go, whatever company. And of course, if you have your own business, and I could be wrong, once again, do your own research, but there's some other retirement options that you have there. If you have your own business and you're self-employed, then they call it a solo. And so if you have one of those solo retirement accounts, you can start up one of those as well. And keep in mind, when you're talking about traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs, those are ways to make your money work for you and your future self, but you're also limited on how much you can put up in there annually. So every once in a while, they'll change the rules on that. At one point, it used to be you can only max it out with $5,000 annually. And then sometimes it may have increased by more by now. It might be close to like $7,000 now that you can put into these retirement accounts. But what's interesting is, for a 9-to-5 worker, for a W-2 worker, you're limited on how much you can put in your retirement account, an IRA. You're limited on how much you can put in there annually. Think about it. You're limited on how much you can put into these individual retirement accounts annually. So even if you have excessive amounts of money, if you have excessive income and you want to stack up that retirement account, there are rules and policies that say you cannot put over a certain amount. I find it interesting because why would you want to limit me and how much I can pay my future self? So when you see certain rules like that and you have extra money, you have to be creative. You have to start finding other asset classes and places to put your money at that benefit you and your future self, which is why real estate is amazing, because you're not limited on how much real estate you can buy. And once again, today we're talking about allowing your money to work for you, why it's important to budget. So when you budget, you can figure out how to get rid of unnecessary debt. And when you budget, you can also figure out how to invest better and how much money you can actually invest, because we want to budget to eliminate debt. That's important. And we can dive deeper into eliminating debt another day. And so you make adjustments, like I mentioned, with the cell phone companies, with the utility companies. Also, when you're with your insurance companies, call your insurance companies and find out what adjustments you can make there as well. Whether it's car insurance, they may have something going on where they can reduce your car insurance. Whether it's something that they have a special going on, or whether you can combine. You may have two different companies. One does your house, one does your car. If you were to combine the house and the car under the same umbrella, that insurance company may give you something cheaper. Use these companies against each other. Capitalism. Allow these companies to fight for your service, and find out which company can give you the better deal, and go with the better deal and the better quality of service. And if they reduce your insurance bill by $25 a month, and the cell phone company reduces it by $25 a month, you just put an extra $50 of cash flow into your pocket to do what? Either get rid of some more debt, or that $50 more that you can invest into another opportunity, into your future self, into the stock market, into a different asset class, into real estate, into gold, your favorite stock that you like. It gives you the money now. You open up the opportunity, and you open up a path to have that extra $50 in that scenario, to freely be able to invest it somewhere else to where it benefits you. And that's how you make your money work for you. Make a list of all those service providers and get rid of the ones that you don't need. And even if it's when you're going through your budget, eventually you'll get to these different financial institutions that you owe money to. If there's a financial institution and you owe them money, find out, negotiate, see if there's a way that you can either get that debt amount that you owe reduced, or the interest rate that they're charging you for that debt. See if you can get that reduced. A simple thing that you can do to reduce, let's say it's credit card debt. The average person probably is paying anywhere around 20% interest on their credit card. And so if you're paying 20% interest on that credit card, call that financial institution and find out if they can reduce the interest rate on that credit card. And someone taught me this years ago. And since then, I've been running around teaching everyone else to do it because it works. Some credit card companies will reduce your interest rate back down to zero. Sometimes when people have credit card debt and they have this balance that's due, whether it's $5,000, $15,000, a lot of times they are trying to find another credit card to transfer that credit card debt to, and I call it credit card hopping. So when people have large balances on credit cards, they try to find another credit card to transfer the debt to, that's at a 0% interest rate, not realizing that sometimes you don't have to find the next credit card at 0% to carry that debt to. You can call your financial institution, that credit card company, and find out and ask them, hey, times are difficult, having a rough time. I need that interest rate. And first, what I would do is ask them to drop it down to zero. Can we drop this rate down to my credit card interest rate down to zero for a little while? That way I have time to get on my feet and get things taken care of. Sometimes they will say yes, sometimes they'll say no, and sometimes they may reduce the credit card rate down by 3 points, 5 points. If it's at 20%, they may drop it down to 17. And so either way, that benefits you, because the lower that interest rate, the quicker you can pay that debt off, the less money that you give back to that financial institution, more money you put back in your pocket. And so if they do reduce your rate and you go from making $200 payments to $170 payments, take that extra $30 and apply it to principal on that credit card. Don't take the extra $30 and go spend and have fun with it. Use that extra that you created to knock that debt out even faster. If they knock the rate down to zero, then take that $200 and continue to apply it to the principal balance and knock it down faster. So when you do call these companies, and if anyone tries it and it works, come back to the feed, come back to the video, and let someone know if it worked for you or not. But that's another fun trick and tool to get rid of debt faster and put more cash flow back into your budget. Call the credit card companies and get those balances back down to zero. All right, let's see what else we have here. We already talked about cutting the cable off. We already talked about getting with insurance companies, cell phone companies, every single service provider you have, even security. Call your security, home security service providers and find what deals um, that you have there. Cheryl put, I opened an investment account, but I haven't done anything with it yet. Cool. So Fidelity, Cheryl, they have Roth IRAs and they have Fidelity is one of those. Last Saturday, I talked about getting with banks that have high yield interest savings accounts. Fidelity has a high yield interest savings account as well. So when you talk with them, Cheryl, ask Fidelity about their savings account. They may call it a money market account, but ask them about their savings account where you can earn like 4.97% in interest on your money. And so the annual percentage yield, APY. And so ask them about, and it's almost 5%. It's like 4.97 or 4.98% monthly. Your money can grow for you. So even money that's just sitting around, let's say you have extra $2,000, $5,000. I don't care if it's $500 sitting around in a savings account or in a checking account that you don't touch, you don't use. Get with Fidelity and set up that and transfer that money in that high yield interest account that's making almost 5%. And when you talk to one of their representatives, they'll know exactly what you're talking about. You're not trying to take that money and put it in the stock market. You're not trying to take that money necessarily and put it in some type of mutual fund. It's just your emergency fund, your extra money you have to decide, and let it grow at about 5% annually. And so your money will be making money for you. So Fidelity does have that account and they do have Roth IRAs. So with Fidelity, you even though you opened up an investment account, you can just open up a Roth IRA there as well, and just start the process of putting some money every month into your Roth IRA. Like I don't know their exact requirements. Some people don't, but you may be able to put $20 a month in there or $50 a month in there, and set it on reoccurring, and just have it going into your Roth there. And then the investment account, they have investment accounts where you can make your own investments and find what stocks and things you want to invest in, which is risky. There's some risk to it, but you can also set up a long-term Roth IRA account. So years from now, after you put all that money in there, you can start drawing that money. And in that Roth, it's not taxable. So you'll be getting those annual or monthly income from them, and it won't be taxable. So Fidelity is a good bank that provides a lot of options that you have there. And so as we talk about financial literacy and allowing your money to work for you, be aggressive and be confident about taking action, doing something that benefits you. There are a number of things you can do about being aggressive and taking action. And it doesn't require that you make a lot of money. It doesn't require that you're rich to grow, to start the process of growing generational wealth. When I first started trying to be more financially responsible, I think at the end of every month I had like $10, and I was taking that extra $10 to get rid of debt. And eventually at the end of every month, I had about $25. And I do remember when I had an extra $25 at the end of every month, because that's when I opened up years ago. I opened up a Roth IRA, and all I could afford was an extra $25 a month into that retirement account that I set up. And back then, I think I set it up through USAA. And so I was putting this extra $25 a month, and it was comfortable and it was a safe amount, because then I knew I still had enough to take care of my family and everything else that I needed. But it was a start. It gave me a foundation, and most importantly, it put me into a habit, a consistent habit of putting money away and putting money to the side that was going to benefit me later on. And of course, Roth IRAs had that flexibility that all the base amount that I put in, all the foundational seeds that I put in there, I still had access to without the penalties at that time. So eventually, every time I got an increase in pay, every time I got a raise, every time I got a promotion, or the salary increases annually because of cost of living. If it went up by, like, let's say the next year went up by like $25, then I would pretend as if I never got that increase in $25. And what did I do? Of course, I would take the extra $25 and then I would put it into the Roth IRA account. So now instead of an extra $25 every month into my Roth, I put my blinders on to the extra increase in income I had and put the other 25 into my Roth. So then I had an extra $50 a month going into my Roth when I started out with $25. And so is it the max amount at the time I could put into a Roth? No, I think at the time years ago, the max amount was about 5,000 annually. And I wasn't coming anywhere close to it, but at least I started the process. And I had my Roth connected to, and another thing is when you set up a retirement account, you need to find out your level, uh, whether it's low, medium, high, whether it's moderate, high risk. You need to find out your risk tolerance. And so your risk tolerance is going to let you know how you want to invest your money, whether you want to do a high risk or whether you want to do low. Of course, as people get much, much older, their risk tolerance is much lower. When people are younger, they go at a higher risk tolerance, which means your money has an opportunity to make uh, a whole lot, but at the same time, with all that risk, it means you could lose a lot. I'm more of a moderate person. I want my money to slowly be safe and just slowly grow at a safe level. Now, if I was younger, I don't know, I had to do it all over again. Maybe, of course, I would pick higher risk. But the stock market does have its risk that comes along with it. But time has proven over the years that the market does continue to grow over a period of time. And so it just depends on what asset classes and different things that you prefer to be in, because certain things you have control over and certain things you don't have control over. But regardless, start somewhere. And like I did, I had to start with $25 and eventually I worked my way up to $50. And eventually from there went to $100. And you just continue to build on that every year. And it's like set it and forget it, because if you don't set that play in place and be disciplined about it, it's easy to change your mind 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, and not put money in there. But if there is an emergency or something does happen, you can also, what I call, cut the water off. You can stop investing in it if you need to. You can easily say, hey, you know what? This month looks like it's going to be rough. This extra money I was putting into my Roth, I can't do it this month. So I'm going to stop that reoccurring transfer in there. So you can always stop it. But if you don't have to, I wouldn't stop it if you don't have to. Try not to touch your retirement accounts unless it's like some type of extreme emergency and you have to. Otherwise, find another way to do it. And so today, as I get ready to come to a close, I definitely enjoyed talking to you all today about financial literacy, about the importance of making your money work for you. And I'll dive a little bit more deeper into different examples of making your money work for you as we continue to go along and piggyback from one Saturday to the next. I believe I'm just going to go live about 8:30 a.m. every Saturday, and that's Eastern time zone. If you're in a different time zone, of course, it might be a little bit earlier for you. But we'll start around 8:30 every Saturday morning, dealing with financial literacy. Most importantly, the backbone of financial literacy, which I believe is budgeting, diving into talking about budgeting and allowing your money to work for you. I want to see so many people have their money doing like we do a 9 to 5. I want your money to be your 9 to 5 working for you. I want your money to be sweating for you. I want your money to be putting in work for you so that you can free your hands up and your mind up to do the things that you enjoy doing the things that you like to do. Not that you would just necessarily quit your 9 to 5, but whatever 9 to 5 you're at, because of your budgeting, it's because you want to be there, you choose to be there, and you enjoy doing it. And that 9 to 5, that W-2 job, is helping you fund your future success, your future goals, your future finances, so that you can continue to do the things that you love to do in life. Everything then becomes an option and not a requirement, not mandatory. Other than that, I've enjoyed going live with you all today. Keep in mind, you can always, when you watch this, feel free to share, feel free to like, subscribe, comment. I enjoyed the feedback from everyone today, and I look forward to working with you all as we continue to move forward. I have a lot of great things in store, a lot of good demonstrations and examples, real life examples that anyone can do no matter where you are financially. We're going to meet the need with helping you get to where you need to be. This is awesome. This was an awesome year to improve your financial situation. This is an awesome year to get you to where you need to be financially. You should be encouraged. You should be so encouraged that it causes you to take action. It causes you to make a change in what you're doing. And when you do that, the circle of people that you're around are going to make changes as well. You're welcome, Cheryl. She said this is very informative. New goals activated today. Yes, Cheryl, you work too hard. You work too hard every month not to do something for yourself, not to pay your future self. You deserve to treat yourself right. And so you have to care about you more than anyone else. Not just Cheryl, I'm talking to everyone. You have to care about yourself more than anyone. Guys, we work too hard to just throw it away. We got to take care of us. That means some people, we got to tell them no. I cannot do that because my money is on assignment. Ooh, my money is constantly on assignment. Put your money on assignment in 2024. Put your goals in place. Write down what you need to write down. Make your dream boards. Write down your goals and don't let anyone get in the way. 2024 is a great year to set the foundation for what you want to get done. And you can do it. And most importantly, we're going to do it together. Right here, whether you're on YouTube with me or whether you are on my Facebook page or whatever the platform you find this video, but you can always go to YouTube, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and join my YouTube channel and feel free to subscribe there. So every time that I'm putting up videos on YouTube, you'll automatically get those alerts of the new videos that are going up. I plan on doing maybe 2 or 3 videos this week as well. So stay tuned, stay connected, and love each and every person, and continue to be a blessing to your loved ones, the people around you, by sharing this video, giving them wisdom and information that they need to improve themselves as well. And when you continue to bless your circle of people that you're around with this good information, you all will grow and rise together. And at that point, you're unstoppable because a threefold cord is not easily broken. Be blessed and have a great day.